When I sat down with my friend Randy Rothwell, we were talking about worship leading. One of the things that I mentioned is that I have over the years seen worship leaders who, when they step onto the platform, they become a totally different person. I mean, just like night and day difference. And he responded to that, and I thought he had a really good, well-balanced answer. So take a look.
I mean, there is an element of, I mean, let's face it, there's always the whole thing of people say, well, it's worship, it's not a performance. But there's an element of performance in everything, in the preacher, in the person who does the announcements. And you have to be comfortable. Me talking to you is different than talking to a group of people. I have to be louder, a little bit more animated perhaps, just in order to keep people's attention. So there's some bit of performance on it anyway. So like I said, I'm basically an introverted person. I can be alone, contemplative. But when I'm a worship leader, you can't be that. You can't just get in, close your eyes. You got to talk to people. So I become somewhat of a different person when I step into that role and platform. Not a disingenuous, but I realized, I used to say, well, I'm an introvert who learned extroverted skills because I had to. I learned what you have to do, the mechanics and the skills you have to do in order to, the dynamic to lead people. And it requires maybe jumping out of your comfort zone and putting on a little bit of, not something totally that you're not, but something bigger than you normally are, And again, you have to work to make that genuine. It's not who you are, sitting, at the church picnic talking to one person, but it's genuine to who you are. It's just a little bigger, So it's kind of a double answer. It's like, yes, you want to be genuine and not a completely different person, but you might have to add a little pizzazz to who you normally are just talking to people in a social situation, because you're stepping into a role which requires you to lead people in a different way, And I'm sure there's preachers who would be the same way. They're kind of introverted person, but they know how, and they get up there and they open the scripture. Now they've got to come alive a little bit and communicate. That's all it is.
As Randy talked that day, I was thinking, he's really right. There is a dimension of being a different person, if you will. I know when I'm teaching up in front, I am far more animated than when I'm just sitting and talking to somebody one-on-one. And so he really makes a good point. So I want you to think about that idea. Don't become a totally different person. Don't make it not real, if you will. But at the same time, he's right. You're gonna communicate differently than when you're sitting one-on-one with somebody at the church picnic, as he put it, when you're up in front of a group of people. So what does that mean for you? What should that look like? And what perhaps is too much in crossing a line and being somebody that you're really not? So I want you to kind of think through that for your own life and your own situation this week.
Brought to you by myworshipleadingcoach.com.
Helping you to be more fully equipped as a worship leader.